How you do that there? How you do that there? And I ain't mad about it. I am your man's Nic Rattlehead, sans a beard. And somewhere out in California watching over your boy is my buddy, my pal, my compadre, my amigo. My man's with the master plan, 100 grand, only you, me, and God knows how much I love this guy, man. Tell him one more time, what's your name? Matt the Graff, and we are Aftershock Reviews, here to give you the best extreme music reviews, buddy. And today, I set before you probably one of the most wicked and malign things we've ever reviewed here on Aftershock Reviews, and I say that tactfully. I say that intentionally. I say that knowing what I am saying, right? Like, this is not a hot take, because today we are talking about a Diabolic Thirst by Quebec's Spectral Wound. Ooh, now this is a follow-up to their 2018 album, Infernal Decadence, right? Which also follows up their 2015 album. I'm gonna try to say it right on the first try. Here we go. Terra Nullius. Ooh, he's getting good at these weird names. He's getting good at it, right? But for me, I got turned on in 2018 on Infernal Decadence and thought they were just one of the coolest bands ever. It was the atmosphere. It was the world building. It was all of the space between me and the band that I really loved, and the thrashy. And the riffage was so freaking awesome and savage, right, that it was memorable. And for me, when I'm somebody who likes black metal, but not as like, it's not something that I often go to, right? It was refreshing for me, right? Because usually when I hear black metal, I'm like, okay, here comes the raw production. Sometimes it's probably even going to sound, and dare I say, crappy, right? But Infernal Decadence really did a good tightrope job of saying, yes, we do have a raw sound, right? Yes, our production isn't necessarily all that polished, but it's polished enough that you can kind of tell what's going on, and it's polished enough that it can make a really wonderful atmosphere. Oh, it's great. It's wonderful. But Nick, how does a Diabolic Thirst do trying to follow up the really, really great breakout album that was Infernal Decadence? It says, we see that album and we'll raise you 50. Oh, a Diabolic Thirst to me is an album that is raw. Yes, an album that is uncompromising. Yes, it is atmospheric. And I'm also going to say exhausting. Why is this album exhausting? Because they throw so much at you within every one of these, 6 tracks on a 40-minute runtime that throws so much at you that it wears you down. It beats you. It's cognizant of the fact that you might not necessarily be able to handle everything that is thrown your way, and it doesn't care, right? It's not for the faint of heart, but I absolutely adore it because of that fact, because it is so uncompromising. It is going to throw everything but the kitchen sink, then says, you know what, I don't need this either, and throws the kitchen sink at you. It's great. But let's get into the track listing real quick, because that is where the juice is. That is where the honey is. It's not a game. So we're going to talk about Imperial, and I'm yet again, weird names, right? Imperial Season Noir. Noir. I'm hoping that I'm saying that right? Now, this track is split into like 4 movements, right? But it is the opener. So what does it mean by when we say it's the opener? It comes in, guns are blazing, fire being spewed almost from the pits of hell itself, because it does open with what sounds like a smoldering, popping fire, right? But unlike most openers, it's not a minute long. It's not even 30 seconds long. It might be maybe 10 seconds long, and that's it. And they smack you with the soaring tremolo picks, right? And the thing about the picking is, yes, they do incorporate a lot of it in this album. So much so that I've even heard people call it, say, as a result of all the tremolo picking, it sounds almost samey, right? It sounds like, okay, there's going to be an album with a whole bunch of tremolo picking. They might do something to kind of break it up a little bit, but that's kind of all they have, which almost kind of brings people out of it. This goes back to what I said last year when it comes to A Feather and Bone, right? You have to look past that, right? You have to also give the album multiple spins to catch some of the subtlety, some of the feel, some of the detailing in a lot of these tracks, right? Because at the end of the day, yes, there is a lot of tremolo picking, but, oh, and it's a big butt. It's a huge butt. It's a 90s Jennifer Lopez butt. It's massive. It is wonderfully executed and it is memorable. Why? Because it is highly melodic. Highly melodic. Oh my gosh. And because it's so highly melodic, it is memorable, right? And it's catchy. You find yourself singing a lot of these riffs when you're not even thinking about the track or even thinking about the album. And Imperial Sam Saison Noir, I keep struggling with that name, right? This is the introduction of that ideology. Why? Because the riffage is somewhat simple, but effective. It doesn't even come in with a lot of blast beats. It comes in with almost like this punky, I don't want to call it a skank beat or something else like that, but it's this really wonderful late 80s punky percussion rhythm section. It's really weird. It's really weird, but it's really cool, right? And then they only use the blast beat as emphasis on what they're trying to really get across, right? So instead of using like a normal fill, right, or even like a weird abstract fill, they'll just be like blast beat. It's keeping things basic. It's keeping things recognizable to anybody who is well versed into the black metal atmosphere, right? But it's so wonderfully done. It's a power trip type of thing. And I make that comparison knowing what I'm saying. It is a power trip type of situation where power trip never really broke the mold on what thrash metal was, right? They never really did say, we're going to inject something here to make it stand out from everybody else so far as our technicality is concerned. Or the fact that we said, hey, this is just an example. They didn't do this, but they didn't say, hey, let's put shoegaze and thrash metal. And now we've got a brand new sound. They didn't do that. They said, you know what? We love thrash metal. So what are we going to do? We're going to craft quality thrash metal albums. And that is what they did here. It is great. But the opener is not the crowning jewel for this album. No sirree, Bob. It is not. Because it is Frigid and Spellbound, which also just so happens to be the first single for this album, right? Frigid and Spellbound. Listen to me. Frigid and Spellbound might be my favorite track from this year. It very well might be. I know, yet again, high praise, right, Nick? You might be getting away from yourself. I'm not. You gotta trust me. I'm not. Because at the end of the day, Frigid and Spellbound has the most soaring, anthemic, goosebump-inducing riff I've heard this year, and it stands to the quality of anything I've heard in previous years of me just loving metal. Why? Yes, tremolo picking, sure, but the intro riff is something that makes you stick your chest out. It's not yet again, yes. Hi, my name is Nic Rattlehead. I love to sing riffs that I really can't describe. So here we go. It goes like it just starts going with a whole bunch of blast beats. And the thing is, they take the key that the original riff is in and they start crafting wonderful melodies and harmonies that complement that opening riff, right? Because the opening riff doesn't overstay its welcome. Why do I say that? Because you only get it in the beginning and at the end of the track, right? The rest of it is just expounding upon it, right? It's so good. And let's talk about the star of not just this track, but let's talk about the star of this whole album. It is the freaking vocalist, right? Oh my gosh. Because the vocalist screams, snarls, growls, gurgles his way through all 40 minutes of this album. And he does it masterfully, right? Oh my gosh. He is Satan pretty much being the conductor to this infernal symphony. Oh, it is so good. Oh my gosh. Even going back to Imperial, you gotta bear with me, Imperial Saison Noir, right? Midway through the opener of this album, right? He just does this weird, he gasps. It's like he got through spewing his venom, spewing his vitriol all over the listener. And then he himself had to take a breath and say, you know what? I ain't done yet. Just, it's so good. It is so good. And going back to Frigid and Spellbound, because we're still here, right? We're still here. his fry screaming is something, it's a level of excellence I'm not used to. It's just a level of excellence I'm not used to because, right, it doesn't even sound like a normal vocalist trying to be like, I love black metal, here is my fry scream. It's not a vocalist being like, hey, I'm a death metal vocalist, but I love black metal, here is my fry scream. It sounds like this might be the way this dude talks on a normal basis. Like he goes to freaking McDonald's, right? And he'll be like, hey, welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order? Yes! Red cheese. You'd be like, oh, yes! I couldn't have been the worker working that because I'd have been like, will you marry me? Please? Will you marry me? He sounds that good. It is wonderful. And the thing about it is the percussion here also, they're utilizing a lot of blast beats, right? But also put in between all of these different blast beats are really intricate and really distinct drum fills, right? And it adds to the impact. It adds to the bludgeoning. It feels like a legion of demons are just dancing all over your chest cavity. It's wonderful. Oh my gosh. And then the mid point of the track where it just explodes after a wonderful little, I guess the track is introducing a sense of space, right? Because you do get a little bit of atmospherics near the center, right? But it never slows down because what they introduce here is an acoustic guitar and it is wonderful. And it's almost like a Spanish guitar, right? It's like a Kevin Labarte type of thing. It's really great. It's really great. And then the track just explodes. Oh my gosh, like the demon on the mountain in Fantasia. He holds his hands out and the legion starts spiraling in a sense of euphoria and nirvana as the track hits its pinnacle. And it's almost the guitars themselves become louder, become broader, become more grand as they hit a sense of just pure ecstasy. It's great. It's so great. It's so great. And then we get our blast beats back and the track continues to go full freaking force at the listener until we get to the point where they say, cool, we know how much you love the opening riff. Here you go. It's so good. It's so good. It is so good. Holy cow. Frigid and Spellbound is just an example of not just good black metal songwriting, not just good metal songwriting, just good songwriting in general. It starts with an idea, expands upon it, gives you a breath, says, here's something even more grand, here's our climax. We go back, we don't lose steam, and then we introduce the original idea to bookend the track. Good stuff. Good freaking stuff. Oh my gosh. And then the album continues to hammer you with the ideology. But here's the thing, the album starts to take a really interesting twist because the songs following this almost seem to bring the listener down from its almost drug-induced high, right? To more somber atmospheric tones until we get to the second single from this album. And to me, the second best track from this album, right? Fair Lucifer, Sad Relic. Now, the subject matter is all. Here's the thing. Check this out. They almost paint Lucifer as like, yes, this wise, this strong, this empowering, but also somewhat relatable and maybe even at times sympathetic figure. It's really interesting. And then on top of that, they have a sense of making it feel like, yes, the track itself is soaring. The melodies are back to being huge. The harmonies are all-encompassing and expansive, right? But there is a sense of somberness here. It's really interesting. That juxtaposition that they put you in while you're listening to this track is very weird, but very wonderful. On top of that, they do this really great thing where the vocalist growls and snarls and gurgles at the end of the track, right? So the track just stops. The track says, we're done. And the vocalist says, no, I'm not. And he just goes like, yeah. He's like, whoa, Do it again. And you hit previous on your headphones, or you hit previous on your turntable, or you hit previous on your computer or your phone, wherever you're listening. And you have to go through it again, because with the soaring riffs, the catchy atmospheric tremolo picked riffs, oh my gosh, and the bludgeoning percussion. See, and this is the thing. This is the overarching theme of the entire album, right? But you have to, and I mean this, you're going to find the details, right, way even more interesting than the catchy riffs, right? You're going to find the drum fills, right, as they go from, one riff to another, like those things, the breakdowns and all that other good stuff, that type of thing is what's going to make this album go, right? Yes, I love the catchy riffs. I love them to the heavens and back. I love them, right? But it is the details. It is the smudge prints. It's the things they forgot to erase that make this thing great. Oh my gosh. Even to the point where Diabolic Imminence, right, which is the album's closer, they say, okay, cool. We understand that, you might be, you might want us to switch it up a little bit, so we will. And they close it with this freaking track that has a black and roll riff. To the point where they even have like, okay, cool, here's a straight 4/4 on the percussion, right? But the thing is still screaming at the top of its lungs, right in your face. Ugh, it's so good. This album is a treat. This thing is a treat. Like, and if you're sleeping on this, right, or if you're listening to other reviewers and they're like, oh, it's cool. No, it's not cool. It's not cool, because that's downplaying it. This freaking thing is great, right? We'll leave links for you to be able to buy a CD, and once they restock their vinyl releases, once Profound Lore Records is able to get more vinyls, we'll leave links for that in the description below so you can pick that up as well. You can also go to Profound Lore Records merch table, pick you up a shirt. I'm ordering me one, right? I went out and got me a CD, because this thing, you cannot sleep on this. You cannot miss out on this. The name of this album, again, is called A Diabolic Thirst by Quebec's Spectral Wound. Please check this out. Please, look, listen to me. If you like me, if you think anything that I'm doing over here is worth a doggone, you're going to check this out. It's magnificent. I am your man's Nic Rattlehead, and behind this camera somewhere out in California, watching over your boy as he freaks the heck out, is my man's with the master plan, 100 grand, only you, me, and God knows how much I love this guy, man. Tell him one more time, what's your name?
Matt the Graff.
Matt the Graff. Ooh. Wash your hands, support your bands. Ooh. Please check this out now. Please. Peace. How you do that, Dale? Yeah.